Hey y'all, thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm excited to talk about an article written by Daniel Rogers for Vogue regarding Meghan's moment at Paris Fashion Week and how that surprise appearance not only changed the trajectory of her life in the elite fashion circles, but also the coverage that we see of Meghan in all forms of media, not just where fashion is concerned. I thought it was a very interesting article, and it was penned by someone who does not skew one way or the other about public figures or celebrities. He admittedly is not a celebrityophile, meaning he is not obsessed with celebrities or their lives, and he does not easily get skewed against someone based on hearsay. He does his research. But not only that, he's writing about Meghan from a perspective that he has an expertise in, the fashion world. He is a paid fashion writer. So it was nice to see how he viewed Meghan prior to the Paris Fashion Week moment and how that has impacted, according to his perception, how she is perceived in the media as a whole. I thought this was very interesting, and I thought it was a wonderful way to welcome me back to social media because I took a much needed break. I hope you find this article as interesting as I did. I'm excited to share, so let's get started. Once again, the article is in Vogue, and it's titled, 2025 was the year Meghan the Duchess of Sussex's wardrobe changed forever. And again, this is written by Daniel Rogers. Now, I'm not going to read the entire thing. It is linked below in the description box under sources. However, I do want to kind of talk about it, give a quick review, but also give my thoughts on what he's discussing. Now, if you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and share so that more people can find us. But we all remember this moment. I mean, genuinely, this year, especially the second half of the year, just kind of flew right by. But this moment is permanently implanted in my brain. If you like fashion, if you love fashion, and if you like or love Meghan, then this was the perfect moment for you for many reasons. But I just felt like the way that she presented herself, not even necessarily the clothes. I have to be honest, the clothes are beautiful. I thought Pier Paolo Pacioli did a wonderful job dressing Meghan. Daniel Martin, her makeup artist, and Ben Skirvin, her hairstylist, they did a wonderful job. She had the perfect team. They definitely set her up for success, and she absolutely delivered. But my favorite part of Meghan at Paris Fashion Week wasn't even the surprise appearance of it all, although that was just chef's kiss, an added touch. I enjoyed that. But it was just the way that she presented this self-assured, don't need permission. I can walk in all by myself. I don't need a pass. I don't need anyone to co-sign me. I am the moment. I am special. And look at me go. She could have been wearing a brown paper bag and that message would have been loud and clear. Now, do I know if that was her message or inner dialogue? No. But if she hired me to create her inner dialogue, that is what I would be saying, because she's already embodying that just by being so regal. She does a great job of that. She does a great job of just simply being and existing. It's one of the reasons why when her Harper's Bazaar covers went up and everyone had an opinion about her and saying, oh, Harper's Bazaar is supposed to be more chaotic and it's supposed to be more creative and it's supposed to be all these things. And I'm like, creativity is not always super colorful and loud and in your face. I mean, that cover alone, the expressions, the poses, the texture, with very minimal colors, you got so much. I felt like it was such a fulfilling shoot. Also, the provocation and the provocative nature that everyone was begging for, that's Meghan, just for existing. And I feel like when people miss that nuance, they're telling on themselves that they only see creativity one way. So this moment was something very similar, and I kind of feel like, although they are unrelated, the perfect setup to the Harper's Bazaar moment as well, because Meghan doesn't have to follow the standard rules to make it her moment. That's what makes it her moment, which is why after this Paris Fashion Week moment, doing the Harper's Bazaar magazine and that one being titled Meghan's Moment, I thought, or the Meghan Effect, I thought, what a perfect bookend of two perfectly iconic moments for a woman who is likely at the time of those going up, probably sitting cross-legged, crisscross applesauce, doing crafts with her kids. And honestly, I think one of the reasons people love Meghan and have just grown to truly lean into her whole media moment, no matter what she is doing, I think so many women can see themselves reflected in her. And I think it takes someone truly special to be a royal, to be grotesquely wealthy, to be very successful, to be all these things, a celebrity, To have all these different hyphens, I think it takes someone truly special to resonate with so many people when those labels don't matter. I think you only get that type of human connection with people you don't even know when you show up authentically. It's one of the same things that I discuss about Beyonce quite often. When we talk about Beyonce, I defend her down. And it's not just because she is a Black Texan woman, Virgo queen, something I admire. It's not just because she is a master of her craft. It's not just because she shows up authentically. It's because she not only sets the bar, but she consistently raises it, and people seek to penalize her for it. Where have we heard this story before? It's kind of like sending a 5 a.m. email, an email, not a text message or a phone call, but a 5 a.m. email with the message at the bottom with your signature saying, "My working hours are not your working hours. Respond when you are ready." Doing everything you can to make it convenient for the other person, and still being scrutinized for driving everybody like a workhorse despite you yourself leading, not bossing, but leading, and even giving people outs so that they don't have to go as hard as you. When you are a hard worker and when you are dedicated to authenticity, but also to the vision, and you are willing to put in the work, it really does, in my opinion, it really does identify who's down for success and who's not. And sometimes people really resent you for that. Sometimes people resent you because they're not willing to do what it takes to be as great as you, but they resent you for being you. And they resent you because you are greatness. And they use that to penalize you instead of telling themselves, I'm capable of doing hard things and I'm capable of rising to the occasion. And even when I'm not being challenged, it's okay to challenge myself because it's okay to want more for myself. But instead they say, who do you think you are for wanting to be the very best you can be? Not the very best according to the world standards, not the very best according to some ridiculous poll or some ridiculous ranking or some ridiculous who's the better celebrity, who's the better royal, who's the best dress, blah, blah, blah. Not any of these ridiculous standards and these ridiculous labels that people place on women to make them feel like they have to compete with each other. But when you see someone who is truly one of one, and the only way they've become one of one is because they've recognized very early on, my only competition is me, and the only competition I'm in is how I can be the very best me I can be because it makes me happy. It's what satisfies and satiates me. And when they see someone who is self-sufficient and they don't rely on the world to validate them, it intimidates the hell out of them. But then for that person to go on and decide to be great on top of that, not only have you stripped them of the ability to validate or invalidate you, which is really where they're wanting to come in, but you've stripped them of the ability to feel important at your expense, because when left to their own devices, they don't feel important at all. And so when you walk into a room with your head held high and your chin up and your shoulders back, and you look great, whether you're wearing this Pier Paolo original or Pier Paolo Pacioli original, or you're wearing a brown paper bag, or you're wearing something sewn from your own hands, no matter what, when you walk in the room and you look beautiful and you make everything around you radiate and glow and upgrade, you are the problem for people who haven't recognized that the problem is within. You are an easy target because you stand above the rest. You are an easy target because they can quickly identify you, and they can say, that's a great whipping stick because I can get a lot of people who hate themselves to join in on this. This is low-hanging fruit. And how ironic is it that hating you is low-hanging fruit because you are above the rest? Isn't it weird how life works? And I just feel like Meghan is a wonderful example of that. Beyonce is a wonderful example of that. She has these interests and she's going after all of them authentically and bringing it back full circle. That is exactly why this article and so many others like it resonate with me, because I realize that so many women see themselves in people like Meghan. So many people see themselves in people like Beyonce, not because I can relate to being on a stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people who are willing to buy air just because I breathed it. What I do understand is what it's like to want to be the very best you can be. What I do understand is what it's like to be a woman in a male-dominated field. What I do understand what it's like is anytime you dare to even conceive of achieving greatness, there will be people who are unfocused on their own path who will completely zero in on yours and seek to only disrupt it. Not to help, not to cheer, not even to be a spectator, but I gotta disrupt it because by disrupting this, it makes me feel busy. And now I have an excuse to not be getting back to what I should be getting back to. But they dare to do it, and they dare to do it on a big scale, knowing that the higher up I soar, the harder and the further the drop. I tip my hat to you. I tip my hat to you. So anyway, I think that's part of what happens when you show up authentically and you strive to shoot for the stars and you dare to dream. You will bring out some of the worst sides of some of the worst people. So I say that to say, I think it's important to recognize that Meghan has had many facets. And just like this article points out, is you could see the beginnings of some of her interests that we now see coming full circle in the TIG. I summarized most of the article. I have to read the last two very short paragraphs because I have thoughts on them. It says, Pacioli's debut became a focal point in a season saturated with more than a dozen designer arrivals, while Meghan consolidated her position within the contemporary cultural elite. No longer simply an actress, a royal, an ultra-wealthy founder, or a relatable momfluencer previously selling striped Ralph Lauren shirts via ShopMy, but a unilateral superpower able to glide between charitable summits, most watch lists, front rows, and Kris Jenner's parties. Now there's a woman who knows a thing or two about rebranding. By the time Meghan had changed into a second look of the night, a black cape dress at the after party, the prevailing observation was that something iconic had happened, that a line had been crossed, that a post-palace Meghan had been legitimized on fashion's biggest stage. Now, again, I have thoughts on that. I do want to point out that the reason Meghan's moment was Meghan's moment and it was so iconic is because she was already legitimized. But I get what he's trying to say as someone who's in the fashion world. I can see what he means by that she had essentially created a new summit and transcended that. But it's important to recognize that she was already signed, sealed, delivered. She was already validated prior to this moment, which is what made the moment so special. She should not do it again, or at least not for a very long time, since it was precisely her withholding from these industry-facing events that made the appearance feel so illicit. It demonstrated that Meghan is more than the woman the press has allowed her to become, that she is ultimately more than the accessible, algorithm-friendly Suzanne t-shirts, Doan midi skirts, and CV's rain boots, albeit elevated with Cartier bracelets and Hermes sandals, and that she is now opening herself up to what she once admired on the TIG as champagne chic, a status that is crucially conferred rather than inherited. If the royal family represents symbolic capital, fashion operates on cultural capital, and Meghan's motive since relinquishing her HRH title has been converting the one into the other. As she herself wrote all those years ago, I happen to love all things chic, and I certainly have a propensity for embracing all things Francophile. Don't be surprised if, and I mean if, she climbs the steps of the 2026 Met Gala in a custom Balenciaga gown. I would absolutely evaporate if she did that. Thank you so much for watching the SharionSade YouTube channel. I appreciate you watching my content. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video by hitting the thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to comment along the way. If you feel so inclined, please don't forget to share so that more people can find us. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Now let's get back to the video. I really enjoyed this article. Daniel Rogers did a great job. Obviously, like I said, he's not a person who really watches celebrities necessarily. He's just more so entrenched in the fashion world, as he described in the article. And I feel like that added a certain weight and value to his opinion about Meghan's moment at Paris Fashion Week. And I love how that has transcended Paris Fashion Week into what is she going to do next when it comes to fashion? Now, me personally, I feel like I've already kind of been like that. When she was a working royal, her style elevated everyone else's style. I feel like what it meant to look like a royal severely changed once she entered that family for the better, in the same way that it did when her mother-in-law entered that family. All of Princess Diana's eras as a working royal, as a royal in general, were defined by these iconic looks that were not only current and present and contemporary at that time, but they pushed the bar and they moved the needle and they were innovative for that time, so much so that she is still receiving homages from people who are obsessed with her fashion in 2025 and beyond, more than likely. I absolutely love Princess Diana's fashion, but it was that special quality of having an eye and taste that made her fashion so special. So to see that her daughter-in-law is also exhibiting the same type of eye, that same type of creativity, that same type of self-identified look, like she does, Meghan does what's true to her, and she channels herself and her expressions through her fashion, which is why it makes sense for her, which is also why when people have attempted to co-opt her looks and co-opt her style and take advantage of it or even take credit for it, it's never worked for them, regardless of who it was or regardless of how close in proximity they were to Meghan or Meghan's team, whether they hired their own team to stalk Meghan's style team or what have you, regardless of the lengths that they went to try and figure out what is it that makes this so special or how can we capture that je ne sais quoi, they weren't able to. And the reason is it's got to be authentic, it's got to be true to you, it's got to make sense for you. And that's where the value comes in here. So it's really great to hear someone who's in the fashion world take a stab at that moment and talk about it from their angle. But he absolutely got me excited thinking about the Met Gala. Now, again, I won't try to anticipate what Meghan's going to do next. I'm just going to be along for the ride and enjoy what we get. But if she were to show up at the Met Gala, I would absolutely enjoy that. And I would love to cover that. So if anyone is looking for a yay or a nay from me, which is nobody, it's probably crickets, but if anybody's wondering, what would Sharion like? Here it is. I would love it if she attended the Met Gala, especially one of the years that Beyonce is hosting. That would be wonderful. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So those are my thoughts on this article as well as that moment. It was really great to revisit that moment. It's been a while, although it does feel like it was just yesterday. It was really great to revisit that, especially returning to YouTube. But I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Did you guys read this article before seeing this video? And if so, what were your thoughts? Leave them in the comment section below. So that's all I have for y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share so that more people can find us, and I will see you next time. Bye.